Okay. So, hello, everybody. I'm Mark Lawrence. I'm actually going to be the host for today. I will be interviewing Charles from the Avatime community in Ghana for about 20 minutes. Then we'll open the floor for questions for about 10 minutes. Charles will introduce himself later, but just a quick mic check. Charles, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, I'd like to thank the Bankless DAO and Bankless Africa for this forum to discuss global warming and digital carbon offsets. As many of you know, many scientists believe that global warming is basically caused by greenhouse gas emissions. As an incentive to try to reverse global warming, organizations who have a mechanism to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere or even reduce greenhouse gas emissions can sell carbon offsets to buyers who want to offset their carbon footprint. However, mature forests like the Avatime forest, which many people or many scientists believe are Earth's best carbon sink, are actually excluded from traditional carbon offset programs. The carbon sequestration of mature forests is considered to be existing. It will happen whether there's a project or not. So it's regarded as business as usual and not additional. It's not new. So traditional carbon offset programs believe that carbon offsets should only be used to incentivize additional carbon sequestration. An example is planting new trees, but they are not about rewarding existing carbon sequestration that's provided by mature forests. So unfortunately, the Avatime forest is just not welcome by traditional carbon offset programs. Conversely, our goal is to completely disrupt the traditional carbon offset industry and bring equity and inclusion to climate finance. We provide inclusion by using, and this is, I think is pretty unique, using NFTs to create a whole new class of digital carbon offsets that actually include mature forests. And we provide equity by eliminating these expensive certification intermediaries. This reduces registration costs, which today can easily be hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in some cases exceed $1 million. And we will reduce those registration costs to $0 for low-income forestry communities. We achieve this by using satellite technology, and there's a third-party provider here called Global Forest Watch, and they use satellite technology to create imagery that monitors tree cover, and then they use machine learning, artificial intelligence, and other innovations to estimate the carbon sequestration rates for forests all around the world. And so this obviously is a lower cost solution than using expensive manual international consultants. And again, the goal is to drive down registration costs to $0, so even low-income forestry communities can afford to participate. And the first beneficiary of this new class of digital carbon offsets is the Avatime forestry community in the Volta region of Ghana. And that's why we have invited our very special guest today, Charles, to join us. So Charles, welcome to Bankless Africa. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello?
Yeah, Charles, can you hear
Mark?
me? Yeah,
I can hear you now.
Okay, so welcome.
I am Gbagbo Charles.
Go ahead.
Yeah. My name is Gbagbo Charles Jobbosen, a native of Avatime Vane. I am the spokesperson to the Ocean Adetekpo the 7th, the president of the Avatime Traditional Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yeah. And a youth activist, and also the coordinator of Kizezemegban Lekpokpekpe, a climate change action group based in Avatime.
Okay. So, Charles, can you provide in fact, can you just tell me where is Ghana located and which part of Ghana are you from?
Ghana is located in West Africa on the African continent. And Avatime Vane is located in the whole West District of the Volta region of Ghana.
Okay, and that's the east of Ghana, close to Togo, right?
Yeah, close to Togo.
Okay, and can you provide a very brief overview of the chieftain system in Ghana? How does that work?
The chieftain system in Ghana, that's the traditional authority in Ghana. The chieftain system in Ghana starts with chiefs within the various communities with the gazetted titles of sub-chiefs and chiefs. Then we have the sub-divisional and divisional chiefs for the various communities and divisionals. Then a paramount chief for a traditional area. The next level is the traditional councils and state councils, which are headed by president of a traditional council or a state council. The next level is the regional houses of chiefs, also headed by a president, a vice president, and other supporting staffs. Then the apex point is the National House of Chiefs, also being headed by a president of the house and vice president and other supporting staffs and various subcommittees within the various houses. So that's how the chieftain system works within Ghana.
Okay, and then
Mark,
yeah.
can I clarify that a little bit, if you don't mind?
Okay.
Yeah. What Charles has said is okay. The basis of traditional rule is based on the chieftaincy institution in Ghana, and the apex is a national house of chiefs, which is made up of 5 representatives from each region, each of the 16 regions of Ghana, chiefs that have been elected to be members of the National House of Chiefs based in Kumasi. And as he said, the foundation of chieftaincy is based on traditional council. So the legislative instrument, or let me say the legislative instrument is a constitution of Ghana, Article 270 going, which gives support to the chieftaincy institution. And out of the constitution, we have a legislative instrument, which is a Chieftaincy Act of 2008, Act 759, which defines that each traditional area shall have a traditional council. The traditional council is made up of the paramount chief, divisional chiefs, subdivisional chiefs, and what we call the Mankrado or Odikrufo. The traditional councils are the basic institution that talk about matters that affect chieftaincy in each traditional area. Then at the next level is the regional house of chiefs, which is made up of all the paramount chiefs in a particular region. And if I may be specific, in the Volta region, we have 100 traditional areas, and all of them are members of the Volta Region House of Chiefs. Then from the Regional House of Chiefs, you go to the National House of Chiefs, which is made up of elected chiefs, paramount chiefs, 5 elected paramount chiefs from each region to make up the National House of Chiefs. And so the National House of Chiefs is the apex body, like the governing board, that stems policies about chieftaincy matters and adjudicates on chieftaincy issues and matters that affect chieftaincy in Ghana. And that institution is recognized and guaranteed by the Constitution, the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. So those are the levels of it. And then at the traditional council level, you have the paramount chief of a traditional area as a president of the traditional council. And it has supervisory authority of or jurisdiction over matters that is in the jurisdiction of the traditional area. Avatime, for instance, is a traditional council. But because of budget of traditional councils in whole, yeah.
Go ahead.
So in Ho West, for instance, in Ho West, for the Avatime is the president of what we call the Hoka Council, is made up of 10 traditional areas with Avatime as president.
Okay.
So that is how and we have other sources in other. The location of Avatime. When you look at the map of the world map, if you Google it, if you want to see where Avatime is the highest settlement point ever, closer to the equator. If we want to take the equator as a reference point, longitude 0 degrees and then a latitude 0 degrees, the conjoint of that thing, the highest settlement point ever.
Yeah. So what I'll do is continue, and just so that everybody knows, the person speaking just then is actually His Royal Highness the Paramount Chief of Avatime, and he is also, I believe, on the board of the national group of Paramount Chiefs as well. And he's actually going to be one of our interviews that's coming up in 2 weeks' time. And so we're actually expecting to cover some of what he was discussing in that interview that's coming up in 2 weeks. So thank you very much for that. So Charles, let me get back to the questions that I have for you. So can you just give us a little bit of information about the Avatime community itself?
Yeah, the Avatime community is situated on the Togo-Akwampim regions. This is a range of mountains, a very mountainous settlement. There are 7 communities making up the Avatime Traditional Council, the Avatime Traditional Area, and Avatime Amejope being the highest human settlement in Ghana, nearer to the equator, as the Ocean 7 have earlier said. So we are located in a mountainous settlement, the Volta region of Ghana.
Okay. And by the way, when I was there, I was actually staying in a hotel that's close to the peak of the mountain. I mean, it's got an amazing view, and it's actually above the waterfalls. It's really unusual in that typically waterfalls flow down into villages. Here, the village is actually above the waterfall. And so it's pretty spectacular view. So Charles, can you give us some information, some additional information about the Avatime Forest itself?
Yeah, the Avatime Forest is classified as the off-reserve forest zone within Ghana, with no too much legislation and governmental interference. These forests belong to clans, families, and individual ownership. Thus, the management of such forest resources is very difficult, though the paramount chiefs and the various community chiefs have oversight responsibility over the forest resources. Since ownership is limited to clans, families, and individual ownership, and management of such forest resources boils down on livelihood. So the traditional council headed by the paramount chief and individual community chiefs find it very difficult to manage these forest resources.
Yeah, and just so that everybody knows, originally the paramount chief of Avatime sent us a letter saying that they wanted to participate in this program because they didn't really have any alternatives to help fund the forest management activities in for their forest. And then the paramount chief actually sent a letter to the Forestry Commission, and the regional head of the forestry, basically saying they wanted to participate in this program. The regional head of the Forestry Commission responded by saying, yes, this is a great program. Obviously, there's forestry areas that belong to the government. Those forestry areas cannot be included. But there are the forestry areas that are basically owned by, like you said, the families and the clans that kind of roll up to the paramount chief. And the Forestry Commission, basically the government, will give us whatever support we need in order to make this program successful. And what we'll do is we'll actually try to get the Forestry Commissioner to actually participate in one of these interviews prior to the NFT release. Okay, so you've given us some
Mark,
good info. Okay.
Mark, can I have an addition to that one?
Yeah.
Avatime traditional area has been working with the Lands Commission of Ghana in order to have allodial responsibility over all lands, customary lands in Avatime traditional area. And so we have established what the government has approved as customary lands secretariat in Avatime. And Avatime has also established what we call a customary lands committee made up of representatives of each of the villages that comprise the Avatime state, Avatime traditional area. And this committee has the responsibility to give information about the land usage in Avatime to the traditional council headed by the paramount chief. And as approved, Avatime is the second traditional area in the Volta region that has the customary land secretariat. And we have a documentation that delineates and explains how customary succession to land is done with the paramount chief as the allodial and owner. So anything that any family wants to do technically has to revert to the paramount chief and the committee.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so Charles, I just have one more question for you. What are some of the challenges, in fact, two more questions. What are some of the challenges that are currently faced by the Avatime Forest and the Avatime community?
Yeah, because of the clans, families, and individual ownership syndrome, management of the forest resources are very difficult within the communities and the traditional area in general, in relationship to illegal logging activities and other unorthodox farming practices. And most of all, it is a livelihood challenge which really need critical attention, because the paramount chief finds it very difficult. The level of forest we can see in Avatime today is all due to the instrumentalities, the firm control of the traditional council headed by the president of the Avatime Traditional OC 7. It had not been easy due to financial constraints. So the level of the forest resources we find in Avatime today can be better off than what we see today. if critical and immediate interventions will be put in place to put the past glory of what we have as the green forest of Avatime back to track.
Okay, and what are some of the challenges that created in the community because of this?
Some of the challenges are due to, you see, the clans, family, and individual ownership. Though the government control on some of the tree species within the forest zone, though the forest area is demarcated as a off-reserve management, but the government have control over some of the tree species being managed by the Forestry Commission. But you know, normally illegal activities within the forest zone is at the blind side of the state authority, who have been given the power and authority to control such forest resources. Because the traditional council is constrained financially to sometimes buy off such trees. Because if the families or the clans or the individual want to sell such trees to illegal chainsaw operators, due to livelihood problem and sustenance, the traditional council cannot do much, because the Forestry Commission is not even having district or community offices within the traditional setups. So it makes it very difficult for the traditional council to manage these illegal activities.
Yeah, and what I'd like to add is, at least what I learned when I was out there, is that it's a fairly low-income community, right? And there's a lot of youth unemployment, and there's really very few choices for people there to feed their families. And so, you know, maybe what a lot of young people will resort to is illegal logging, because that's one way for them to put food on the table. And even when we spoke to the Forestry Commission, the point they made was, even if somebody has trees on their own land, they're actually supposed to get permission from the Forestry Commission before they cut down those trees. But really, there just aren't the resources available to prevent this type of illegal logging, which has actually caused devastation to forests, not only in Africa, but all around the world. And so, and it's also caused conflict within the community where, you know, obviously some of the younger people are saying, you know, why aren't some of the other people in the community finding better ways to monetize the forest? And so this whole concept of additionality, which excludes mature forests, can actually cause conflicts within communities. Sorry, did somebody, the Paramount Chief, did you want to make a point?
Yes, Mark.
Okay.
Just you want to make a few. This is not engage landowners acting out of ignorance. Traditional council has taken it to publicize their communities about their rights and responsibilities as far as management of the forest is concerned, and as far as their access to the tree that are on their land is concerned. It is picking up.
Yes, I think what I heard was that the traditional council is actually helping with education. So the existing landowners know what their rights and responsibilities are, so they actually comply with the expectations of the Forestry Commission and also the traditional councils. Okay, so one more question, Charles. How would sponsorship, I mean, we're looking to do an NFT program out here, and I know, you know, many people in Africa don't quite know what that means, but it's a different way of raising money. And so if we can actually raise some money and then use a percentage of that to provide sponsorship funding for the forest, how would that actually help the forest and the community?
That will go a long way to protect the existing forest cover we have, that will grow back to its original status, because the illegal activities are all based on livelihood and the sustenance difficulties of these landowners. And most of all, the greater populace, the unemployed youth, they have indirect benefits on these illegal forest activities. And you see, apart from the illegal lumbering, unorthodox farming activities are also some of the challenges of the deforestation exercise. So if mechanism can be put in place to encourage crop rotation on a particular land over a period of time, so the existing forest cover can be protected over a period of time. So it all boils down on financing, because sensitization, public education on orthodox farming practices, and alternative youth employable skills to guarantee livelihood and sustenance for the unemployed youth, the teeming unemployed youth, who benefit indirectly for these forest activities. I think it would be a laudable idea to help protect the existing Avatime Forest for the generation unborn.
Okay, and then what I would like,
in addition to what Charles has said, one of the greatest challenges is forest fire, bushfires. And bushfires have not only affected trees, but fauna and then the flora of the Avatime Forest and the surrounding traditional areas. The Paramount Chief has embarked on a program to encourage the adjacent traditional areas and traditional Paramount Chiefs to help so that we can together join forces to stop bush burning that by and large destroy forests that are in inaccessible areas on the mountains. And I believe that this project is targeting areas that human activities are not apparent, are not on the rise. But bush burning and forest burning has limited the growth of flora and fauna in the sun, and that is one area that we think that we can also join forces together. When the project starts off, we should look at that critically. Avatime cannot do it alone. We have to do it co-jointly with neighboring traditional areas like Weje, Akome, Jolo, Tafi, Luba, Nyabo, and the rest.
And again, just at a high level, so what we're doing is we're looking to do an NFT release to use some funding. A percentage of that funding will actually go to fund different activities locally. And in general, that can include adding security to reduce illegal logging and illegal bush burning, fund forest management activities that can help reduce or eliminate other issues that have a negative impact on the forest, but also to create what I call a social innovation program, where we figure out what the challenges are in the community. We bring those challenges back to the crypto community that we have here and put together this brain power to to use, you know, the blockchain and DAOs and stable coins and NFTs to completely reimagine, you know, solutions to these age-old problems, and then hopefully work with local entrepreneurs who may be today's disenfranchised youth, maybe tomorrow's entrepreneur who's working with a couple of or a number or a team of crypto experts on you know, this side of the ocean, who can help them start a company, create jobs, instigate economic growth that in the long run can give them a better alternative than illegal logging. And so, putting up security is not really solving the root cause of the problem. People will find ways around the security, but giving them a better livelihood where that alternative livelihood is much more attractive to them than illegal login would actually address, in my opinion, the root cause. And we have gone over time a little bit, but Charles, I just want to give you an opportunity to, is there anything else that you would like, any other information you have that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, as I earlier said, those who are directly going to benefit from the, in the nutshell, all of us will be benefiting directly from the monetization of the forest cover because of the oxygen guarantee. So whether you benefit monetarily or not, we are all benefiting with the guarantee purified oxygen. But based on the livelihood and sustainable activities, I think your plans for alternative livelihood support programs should be given the greatest attention. Then, as the paramount chief said earlier, the bushfire syndrome, we can form fire control brigade as form of employable opportunities within the forest management concept to also give livelihood to the teeming youth who can be trained by the fire service to become fire volunteers as an alternative employable skills within the Avatime Forest conservation concept to give a guaranteed forest conservation project within Avatime.
Okay, thank you for that. Actually, something, I just want to make one final point. When I initially spoke with the Paramount Chief about this concept, he asked me a question, are you going to take our land away? And I'm like, no, we're not coming to take your land away. And then as I met more people in Ghana, the first question that I received from everybody was, are you coming to take our land away? And I just couldn't understand why they kept asking that question. And then in the end, what I think is going on is that some of the NGOs that go out there, they realize that mature forests do not comply with the existing traditional carbon offset programs. So their approach is to get access to new land so they can plant new trees, so those new trees qualify for carbon offsets. And then they started taking land away from people who did not want to give up that land to plant new trees. And so that's why people kept asking me this question. And so I think our approach is better. Instead of trying to comply with the existing traditional carbon offset programs by stealing people's land and planting new trees, let's just come up with a new program that monetizes the existing forests. And by the way, existing trees that are more than 10 years old are way better at sequestering carbon from the atmosphere than brand new trees that are just being planted. I'm not saying planting brand new trees is a bad idea. I would rather do both. But to me, the priority has to be maintaining our mature forests so that they and their communities have a way to manage those forests so that we can continue to get their excellent carbon sequestration while we supplement that with planting new trees. So originally our goal was to, cover these questions in 20 minutes and then have 10 minutes of questions. We're now 40 minutes into the call. So Ernest, should we still take a couple of questions, or what would you like to do?
Yeah, we definitely may have some couple people with questions. Katrina earlier, who is on the call from Australia. She was having connection issues, so she had to drop off. And I do have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
So, but I'd be curious if Kaminsk or D-Side has any questions first. And I would just like to say thank you, everybody, for being here. And sorry, I can't pronounce all of your names. So thanks, Curtis, Charles, Chief, Osi or Osi, Adza Tekpor, is that correct? Or even close? You get, okay, you can totally laugh.
Don't worry,
right.
you'll get used to it soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ernest, and thank you, Mark, for putting this together, and of course, thank you everyone who attended. And this was really, I don't have any questions at the moment, a lot to absorb, but I appreciate you all taking the time to explain to us and give us a sense of the infrastructure in place, and you know who some of the players are. So sorry it's a little loud here, but thanks for doing this today.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't have any questions right now, but I really did appreciate having this, because just seeing how we can take something like something like an NFT technology and apply it to something that's very constructive in terms of you know, finding a way to manage and I don't want to use the word commoditize, but I mean like just getting people to properly invest and manage in the green resources we have in the world.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
Ernest, you said you had a couple
Yeah.
of questions.
Yeah, so I was curious about the fires. So here in Oregon, most of our fires are, you know, naturally occurring or occur from just humans not paying attention to what they're doing. And so I was unclear, is the bushfires in your region part of natural burning, or is it illegal loggers like clearing area for whatever reason?
Well, yes, the bushfires in the forest area are humanly caused, basically. They are caused by other forest activities like hunting, and those are the issues, and gaming. They cause the forest fires, particularly in the dry season. So those are the ones that are human initiated most of the time. And so if we are able to nip in the bud, the human activities, I think we may be able to lower the occurrences of the forest fires to a large extent.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that's totally different experience than kind of here on the West Coast US, although the other question I had, and I'm not sure how well this can be answered, but I was just thinking, like, do you know, like, what's the population of the area or the communities affected? And the reason why I was curious is because I was curious to know, you know, how much, you know, how many people, can we identify how many people, you know, essentially are just causing, you know, adverse consequences locally because they don't have an alternative? You know, like, you know, how much revenue are we suggesting, you know, income are we suggesting replacing with, you know, the NFTs, so that, you know, the youth and, you know, the elders in the community they can, provide, you're providing an alternative. And so I was just curious if there's a way to identify, that the cost of doing nothing, and then, the actual impact.
Right. Thank you
I
very
guess.
much. Basically, most farming activities are families. And we have a couple of about 400 farmer families who are made up of women who undertake this crop farming in a population of the Aberdeen area. Is the total farmer population, the total population of the Aberdeen area is around 24,000, 25,000 persons. And 50% of that population is the one that we can identify as undertaking some crop economic activities in the area.
You leave the car key for here. Or in the kitchen.
Hello?
Yeah. So it did cut out a little bit for me, but I think what I heard is like 400 families, or approximately 35,000 people. And this just, to me, seems like a very, very tangible number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
this seems
Ernest,
tangible, right? This isn't like, we're not talking about 1 million people here.
Right. And so, Ernest,
right?
if you look at the size of the forest and the pricing that we have for the NFT raise, the return on that, because it's a relatively small community, 35,000 or so, we can actually make a significant difference to the income of that community over the time frame or the future time frame of those NFTs. And so I think that's the point that you're getting at, that we, are we going to make an insignificant difference? We can actually make a significant difference because of the amount of money being raised and deployed compared to the size of the local population.
Yeah, exactly.
That is all right. Yeah, that's okay. That's a good enough figure that we can work with, Mark.
Yeah.
This is D-Stud. I have a question actually. What is the influence or how relevant is the national government of Ghana in this region? And do they need to be represented in this conversation?
So maybe I can start by answering that question. So they are represented by the Forestry Commission. And so again, the Paramount Chief sent a letter to the Forestry Commission saying that they wanted to participate in this program. The Forestry Commission responded by granting the wish to participate in this program. And not only that, basically saying they think this is a great program and they will support it in whatever way is necessary. And so they are the parallel national part of the governing body in Ghana. Sorry, Charles, were you going to say something?
Oh yeah, as you earlier indicated, because the forest management in Ghana, whether off reserve or the forest reserve, is being managed by the Forest Commission in Ghana. So before you do anything meaningful with any forest program in Ghana, you need to seek clearance from the Forestry Commission, which the Paramount Chief did.
Yeah.
And they give the clearance.
Hello.
And they saw the program as a novel one, which will improve the forest conservation in Ghana. So I think the government involvement in this program is guaranteed.
Yeah, and we actually have included the letter from the Forestry Commission, i.e. the letter from the government of Ghana, on our website. So you can actually go to our website and you can see the letter from the Paramount Chief, and you can see the letter in response from the Forestry Commission. And one final point, when I was there, we actually went and we met with the Forestry Commission. And so we actually presented this program to them in person as well. And they basically said, look, this is fantastic. They had their whole team there. And they said, you know, they've got mapping experts, they've got people who operate drones, and they offered all these services to us to support the program once we raise the money so that they can actually participate in the forest management activities that some of this funding would support.
That's excellent. I thank you for your answers.
You're welcome. Hey, Ernest, did you have another question?
I guess the other thing that really interests me is so I've been involved with like agroforestry in the US, and in particular like food forests. And so yeah, it would be wonderful, you know, over the next few weeks or whatever to learn more about the agroforestry practices, you know, that the community would like to, you know, adopt, or that they're already, you know, that they want to keep, you know, that they're trying to protect. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear more about that in the future. You know, and I come from a permaculture background, so I'm not sure if folks are familiar with, you know, agroforestry from a permaculture perspective. But I did find a permaculture Ghana community online. And so if it's a resource that folks aren't familiar with, it might be a way for us to connect, you know, with communities in Ghana through permaculture, which has its own, you know, presence in, you know, organic agriculture, you know, regenerative agriculture, and, you know, agroforestry.
Over time, anybody else have any other questions or comments for the team in Ghana? And I'm actually willing to stay on the call if anybody has any questions about the general program and project. But if there's no other questions here, anybody in Ghana have any other questions or comments they'd like to add?
Yeah, Charles has a comment.
Okay.
I will encourage the originators of this concept to push it the extra mile, because when we met the regional forestry manager, he was looking at the prospects into the future of this novel idea of conserving the existing forest area of Mother Earth, than maybe looking for new lands to afforestation programs. I think this novel idea to be given the necessary push to conserve the existing forest cover, to guarantee livelihood for the teeming population, and guarantee quality oxygen for the generation unborn. Thank you.
Yeah, and I should have made that point. When we actually presented this program to the Forestry Commission in Ghana, again, they are the government. They said they like this program so much, and they have other forestry areas that they would like to extend it to. And so, you know, their hope, of course, is for this to be successful. And then they would want to expand this throughout not just the Volta region of Ghana, but, you know, across Ghana nationally. So the regional commissioner was pretty excited about this whole thing. Okay, so maybe we'll let everybody from Ghana go. I know it's getting a little late out there. So I thank everybody for calling in. And I know,
Before you go,
go ahead.
Mark, before you go, we've had in the past people coming up with brilliant ideas about such projects and citing the population to get ready for the project, and it doesn't start after some time, and that burdens the community and gives them the impression that we only come to them to solicit the ideas and the projects don't take root. So I want to appeal to the project sponsors that we have sensitized the community so much that we are looking forward for it to start like yesterday, so that we can also have some confidence about people and give them additional livelihood that they have been yearning for.
Yep, we hear you loud and clear. Yeah, there was some background noise there. Okay, so once again, I'd like to thank Bankless DAO.
Yeah, the rain. It's raining.
Okay, and Bankless Africa for giving us this forum. And so again, thanking Bankless DAO and Bankless Africa, and particularly Ernest for pushing this internally. Obviously, and hopefully everybody has seen the urgency of this from the point of view of the local community, and the fact that we're in a position where we can make a significant difference to this community, and then this could potentially be a model that can be replicated elsewhere in Ghana and potentially in other countries in Africa as well. And so thank you, everybody, for supporting this project to the point that you have so far. And I'll be reaching out to all of you for additional support going forward. We've got 4 or 5 weeks ahead of us of a lot of work that we need to do. There's a lot to do in a short period of time. And so I'll be reaching out to all of you to help in whatever way you can. So for everybody in Ghana, thank you so much for joining. And I'll let you drop off the call. Okay, and so everyone in the US, Ernest, if there's any other general questions about
Thank you so much for your initiative.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity that you are giving Avatime. And we are hoping that, as we said, the project will start just like yesterday, so that we give hope to our people in the community and hopefully replicate the same in other parts of the Volta region, because the forests are getting depleted at a faster rate that we can manage. But we want to use Avatime as an example for other communities to emulate. And we want to also assure you that the Forestry Commission is upbeat about this project. And they are waiting for us to see a success story that they can also rely upon. And so we want to urge all of you not to rest on your oars, but let's push this project ahead. We are ready to give you any information and support and security that you need when you come down to Ghana. We are using the opportunity also to invite those of you who have been to Ghana to come to Ghana and see, in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, come back to Ghana so that you can see your ancestors and talk with your ancestors who are living. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.